Hello Stampers, welcome to my channel. My name is Lori Staley, Addicted Stamper, and I'm an independent United States demonstrator outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Come on in, we're going to have a little bit of stamping time together this morning, and I'm so happy that you've joined me. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you will hit that subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you're notified when I load additional videos. And if you're returning for another Make It Monday, thank you so much for coming back. I hope you enjoy this fun fold project that I have for you today. In addition to loading a Make It Monday video every Monday, I also have an active presence on Facebook Live. I am there 3 times a week, well, 2 times a week, and then a 3rd time a month. Sunday nights at 8, Thursday mornings at 10 a.m., and then the last Tuesday of each month at 7:30. And we just did the first edition of our interactive stamping on Tuesday nights last week, and it was a ton of fun. So I would love it if you'd hop over there at the end of the month. The last Tuesday of every month, we'll be over there doing interactive stamping. So that's a lot of fun. All right, enough of that. Let's get started with today's project. It is a fun fold, as I mentioned. Not really sure what to call this. I was playing with another card for one of my stamp clubs and was doing something with the triangles and decided to see if I could turn this into a wrap, which I was able to do. So this actually does close. It has a little slit here that we pop the designer series paper down in, and then it opens up like this, and then it opens up one more time. So that's a very special card for someone. It does fit in a regular size envelope, and I don't believe, it depends on your post office, there are some rhinestones here, so you might need to pay a little bit of extra postage for hand canceling on that. But let's show you how to make that. So I just have a piece of the Sweet Stocking designer series paper, 5 1/4. And it automatically comes in a 12 by 12. We're gonna make sure this is trimmed down. I think I did, but I wanna make sure before we start, to 5 1/4 by 11. Let's see if I took, nope, I left that 1 inch on there. So let's take that off. 5 1/4 by 11. And you don't have to worry about writing the measurements down if you think you'd like to try this card later. I will have all the supply list, the measurements, etc. down below the video, so you can just grab them from right there. All right, so we have that. We are going to score this now at 3 1/2 inches from each end. Okay, and then flip it around and score it again. And then it's going to fold in like this. And I'm going to grab my bone folder. We'll move the trimmer out of the way. And we'll grab the bone folder to crease those. Okay. Now, in order for us to get the pointed flaps, we are going to pull in a ruler and a pencil. And we are going to mark this at 2 5/8. I think I'm going to mark it on this side. It might be a little bit easier for me to see. So just grab a ruler. You could also do this on your paper trimmer. Make sure I have some lead there. So 2 5/8, which should be the exact middle. And 2 5/8. Okay. And then I'm going to really kind of bend this paper both ways to help me be able to see that fold line. Because what we're going to do is we're going to use our paper trimmer, and we are going to cut from the fold down, from the fold down on both sides. And that's how we get our points. I bet you had that figured out already, didn't you? So we're going to line this up. Forgive me if my head gets in the way. Sometimes seeing those score lines on a background like this is just a little bit challenging. So we did it that way. And then we're going to come in and do this way. Whoops. I'll get it. Here we go. Get myself turned around too. All right, so score line right there, and then make sure your pencil line is lined up as well, and cut. And if any of the pencil line is left at the end, of course you can go back and erase it. The white art erasers are the best erasers I have found to take away the pencil marks on our projects. This one's gonna challenge me a little bit. I think it's where it falls, but I think I've got it. Okay, and one more. I can run my fingernail along it and feel it, so I think we're good there too. So there we have our fold. That is our wrap, if you will. So that might be a good name for this fold, a wrap card, because we're going to wrap it in designer series paper. I am going to come back in. I have the white eraser here on the end of this pencil. This is my favorite pencil to use in my studio. It usually is one of those things when I'm out on Amazon or somewhere shopping, I just throw a set in the cart because they keep disappearing out of my studio as well. I think probably they're really nice for my husband and some of the work he does. So I think maybe he seems to want to play with those. I do have one more score line to make, and that is for our inside card, right? So this is a 7.5 piece of Evening Evergreen. We're going to score that at 3 3/4. And we'll give that a good crease with our bone folder as well. All right, so let me show you the stamps that we're using today. My Merry Christmas greeting and my inside greeting, may the special season be wrapped in joy, come from the Perfectly Plaid stamp set. This was a carryover in the annual catalog in the Christmas section. We had that last year. It has the coordinating tree punch. And then I am also using on the front, the tree is cut from Evergreen Elegance. I just stamped it in Evening Evergreen on a piece of basic white and then hand fussy cut. I know, somebody just cringed, I'm sure. And then the other one that we're using that gives us this cool pine with the Christmas lights is Festive and Bright. And this is a brand new one. This was one of the ones that I grabbed early on in the mini catalog season because it gave me Christmas, Halloween, and fall with the apples. Really cute set. We've also got greetings that coordinate with all of that, plus this cute little spider. And then the dies for this are unique as well. So let me just show you those real quick if you haven't seen these yet. You do have a great label here, which is always fun. I always like labels. We have apples and leaves and light bulbs and little ghosts. So cute. But then your borders here, right? That's the unique thing. So each one of these borders, and I'm kind of hoping this is the right one for the pine, lines up with your image. So you could cut just the bottom portion away, or you have a coordinating one that goes on the top, and you can cut just that piece out itself and have a great, I might have these backwards actually. Let's try this. Fine, there we go. There we go. That one goes on the bottom, and then this would go on the top, and then you could just cut that individual design out all by itself. So we have one of those sets for the pine, for the Halloween, and for the apples in here, as well as additional little die cuts that you can use and the labels. So We're not actually using the die cuts today, so we're going to lay these aside. And then we're going to start bringing in some of our other pieces, like our inks. We are going to use Pool Party, Cherry Cobbler, Evening Evergreen, and Daffodil Delight on this project. We obviously are going to stamp the pine with the lights first. Now, the other thing that I want to do before we do that, right, because as you saw, you don't even see that. It's like a little surprise when you open this up. So what I'm going to do is I am going to lay this in here. Okay, and I am going to just make a little pencil mark right here at that V and right here at that V. And that way I know to stay within this section with my stamped image. Now, if you want yours to show above your V, or above your points there, your wrap, if you will, that's absolutely fine too. No worries. I want to try to keep mine down on the inside. So we're going to start here. Press real good all over. Re-ink. And again, I am using the Evening Evergreen for this. And then we're going to do just a little bit of watercoloring with a light hand because we are using the Evening Evergreen and we do not want to smear that ink. Since it is a water-based ink, we're going to be real careful when we do that. Pressing down real good all over. I do have a nice foam pad under me, so it's giving me the cushion for the photopolymer stamp. And then I'm going to bring in the water brushes. Now these are the replacements to what used to be the aqua painters. They are a bit different. So first of all, you get 3 in the package, and you have different size tips. This is a very fine tip. I don't know, see if it shows better against that. Okay, so that's the one we're going to use today. And then we have a little bit broader tip. And then we have a nice wide brush. And this, if you've done the alcohol with vellum and the blends technique, I think I showed that probably on Facebook Live several months ago. This is the brush to use because you get a nice wide brush stroke with that. And I'm going to take my time to put that cap back on, not waste yours because I don't want to damage the brush bristles. And just like our old ones, you fill the barrels with water, right? But they're a little bit different in that instead of going righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, it's righty-loosey, lefty-tighty on this. So you unscrew it, you fill it with water. Now see, I cannot tighten that up going right, so I have to go left, and then it tightens up. And to get the water flowing, there's a little place here that's kind of flat and has writing on it, and that says push. So you would just squeeze that, and then the water would start coming out, okay? And I always keep a paper towel, or I'm invariably buying baby wipes to do techniques in my studio, and then they dry out before I go back to use them again. So I have a whole stack of those sitting on my table that allows me to use them for something like this, just to clean it up. So what we're gonna do now is we're just going to squeeze the ink pads, and this gets some ink on the lid. I'm sure you guys have probably seen this technique. Oops. And we're going to pick that ink up with the water brush. And I don't want to be real heavy initially, so we're going to just add some color. So that's even a little darker, but as I go, we'll get those a little bit lighter. But I'm being very gentle, trying to stay just inside the ball, barely touching the Evening Evergreen. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to bleed that out. If you want your ink to be a little wetter or looser, just squeeze and get some water in there, and that loosens it up, and also that will help to lighten the color. Yeah, that's a little lighter. And let's see, we're going to do that one. All right, and then to clean it, just like before, you just wipe it on your grid paper, or I could use my baby wipe to make sure my color's running clear. Do the same thing. We're going to squeeze the cherry cobbler. Preferably do not put your thumb in it, like I just did. And then the same thing, I'm going to add just a little bit of water here. Now, if you get a lot of water in your lid, I will recommend to you that you wipe it out before you close it back up. And the reason I say that is because you don't want a whole lot of water going into the ink pad itself. That will combine with your inks, and it could cause you to not have the effect that you want when you're stamping. Just regular stamping with your inks. So we're going to do those, and then we're going to come up here and add a few up here as well. Ooh, see, now that one is much darker. I don't dislike it, but I went a little further in than I intended to on the cherry cobbler in the lid. That bulb's getting ready to blow, maybe. What do you think? All right, and then the same thing. We'll squeeze water till it runs clear. Red is always going to be the one that takes the longest to get cleared. It's just something about the pigmentation in the red ink. And then our last one is the Daffodil Delight. Again, I'm going to drop a little water in that. And then we're going to come in and just finish off the remaining light bulbs. So these colors mimic the color that's in the Sweet Stocking DSP, but they're a little softer. Okay, there we go. So we have our imagery colored. And I'm getting that to run clear for me. Okay. We're going to go ahead and stamp our Merry Christmas in there. We're going to use the cherry cobbler for that. I'm also going to erase my pencil marks while I have that laying here. Okay. And this Merry Christmas is also from Evergreen Elegance. You could use any greeting that you would like in here, as long as it fit between your pine boughs with your lights. That's going to get mounted on the top of our evening evergreen. Okay, lay that aside, bring this in. We're going to go ahead and stamp our greeting from Perfectly Plaid. We did that in Cherry Cobbler as well. Do you notice I keep closing the ink pads? I'm not sure why I do that. I think to keep me from laying my hand down in one, or one of the project pieces falling into it. I am going to bring that a little lower so that I have a chance at getting it straight. I'm going to bring it down even more, guys. There we go. That should work. Okay. But if you are using photopolymer stamps and you do not understand why you're not getting a good impression, I do recommend getting yourself a foam pad. Now, we have these available in the catalog. They're called a piercing mat in there. I would recommend wrapping it in some grid paper, printer paper, whatever you want. These get used in my classes, and as you can see, they get stamped on, the whole 9 yards. I'd also keep one just for stamping. Wrapping it helps you remember that's the one for stamping. This one does have some holes in it from when we've done paper piercing. Doesn't seem to affect the image, but it could, depending upon how big the hole gets, right? So definitely recommend that. I was at an event recently, and I'm looking for my seal. I was at an event recently and was given a nice long one. So that one I decided to put right here and just keep it under me, because it will certainly not interfere if you're using red rubber stamps. So I just keep it under me now so that I have a good base for photopolymer. I am going to do my trick of creasing both ways to try to get that evergreen paper to lay a little flatter. I'm not sure why it's popping up on us today. Okay, so we've got a piece of cherry cobbler. That is our actual card base. If you just wanted to make this a single layer and not have the card open up on the inside, you could absolutely put a piece of basic white on the back and then stamp your greeting there and write your message. But I kind of liked the idea of being able to have multiple layers on the inside. Just doing one more fold on these, and we're gonna one more crease. I'm a big creaser. Now, with that being said about having the foam pad and everything under me, I'm gonna use an Xacto knife to put the slit in here that our paper fits down through. And I have to tell you that it's just because I'm on camera that it's fighting me, because I've been playing with it for almost a week now and I didn't ever have any issues. So I'm going to slide this out of the way for a second, come back in here onto my self-healing mat. This is something from my stash that SU used to sell and I never let go of, right? So we are going to mark where we want the Xacto knife to go. And then I'm going to open this up and I'm just going to do a cut. And I think that should be good, but let me test it. Yes, that's perfect. Okay, so just like that. It fits in there very nicely, so I can now go back in again. I'm going to cover the knife because they don't call me klutzy for nothing. I was doing a live last night, and I'm like, is anybody else, are you able to fall over air? Because, boy, I'm a pro at that. And then I'll just erase those pencil marks. All right, so now we're just going to put it together. This piece is going to go right on the inside, and I am going to use my Seal Plus for that. By the way, if you are waiting on Seal, the Seal refill, it is back in stock. So you can grab that. And if you don't have a demonstrator that you're working with, I'd love for you to order from me. I will show you my online store address and my hostess code for the month. Remember, with a minimum $25 product order, you receive my Just Card kits for the month. And that's 5 cards with envelopes. The kits are all cut, embossed, die cut, etc. You just need to supply the stamps. All right, so there is, and you can see we did our greenery correctly because we don't see any of that fun until we actually open this up. Okay, this is going to get mounted onto the cherry cobbler base. And again, Seal Plus, just because I want this card to stay together and I have a sneaking suspicion that it will be opened and closed frequently by the recipient, right? Because it's a fun fold. That's what it is. All right, then we'll go ahead and we'll pop our point in there. And we're going to put our little tree on. Okay. And let's bring this stuff back in so we're working. So there's our tree. I did put that on with a dimensional or two, so we're going to grab those and add them to the back. Make sure that the dimensionals stay on this piece, the right-hand side, right? Otherwise, you will tape this closed with the dimensional, and you don't want to do that. And then I thought it was cute, but I thought it just needed a little bit more bling, or some bling, I guess, right? So I pulled in the 2021, 2022 in color gems and the Evergreen color, Evening Evergreen, which, you know, the funniest thing is, when these in colors came out, I was like, Oh, I really like them. I like them all but that evening evergreen. I just don't see me using that. Well, I use that all the time. It's a great neutral and a great green, and especially for Christmas. So there you go. There is the fun fold. It opens like that and then opens like that again, and you have plenty of room in here to write your message. As I said, if you didn't want to put the little card on the inside, you could absolutely put a piece of basic white on the back, stamp your greeting, write your message. It all fits in an envelope, but because of the gems, you may need to have that hand canceled. Well, I hope you liked that. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and if you haven't subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe and ring the bell so you're notified when I load additional videos. I do a Make It Monday every week and throw another one in there every now and then as well. So be sure to check that out. If you are looking for a demonstrator or don't have a demonstrator that you're currently working with in the United States, I'd love to help you on your stamping journey. Reach out to me. If you don't have catalogs, we can get you catalogs. If you're just starting, we can do a welcome call and get you on board with what your first order looks like. My website is addictedstamper.stampinup.net, and here is October's hostess code. With an order on that site with that code and a minimum $25 in product, you will receive my Just Cards for October. They usually come out by the end of the first week of the following month. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week for another Make It Monday. Thanks. Bye.